Hello there. So, I'm back yet again, and I've completely changed my channel. This past year has been absolutely insane, and this is the second time I fell off the face of the earth for like a year and then come back, and now my channel's totally different. So, there's that. I just wanted to reintroduce myself in case you've forgotten, or in case you're new here. My name's Liz. I did have a beauty channel. I still so much love makeup, but let's be honest, I now have 3 children. Yes, I had another baby, which is one of the reasons why I decided to take a break from YouTube. It was just getting really hard to take care of my other 2 kids and being pregnant at the same time. It's just not so easy to do that, and I was so tired. So extremely tired all the time in the beginning of my pregnancy that it just wasn't working out. My priorities shifted a little bit, so I decided to take that little break from YouTube. Actually, it turned into quite a big break, and then a completely different channel. So while I was away, I fell in love with painting, and I had watched a ton of DIY videos on YouTube, and I decided to give it a try, and it's just something that I absolutely love now. Being able to take everyday items or items I found at the Dollar Tree and turn them into something super pretty and in my home, it's just, I love it. I love it a lot. So that is my channel now. I am a home decor channel. I will make DIY videos for you guys, Dollar Tree DIYs, anything else home decor style. My sister and her husband run a little home decor business, and that's really what got me into it too. They make kits that you can paint yourself and put it all together, and I just love that so much, just to be able to make it my own creation. So I'll link their Instagram down below if you want to see some of the things that they make. And then I also post my projects to their page as well. So if you're ever interested in anything that I make, there's a possibility that I will sell it. So just check there, and then check on my Instagram if you're ever curious as to what I am making and selling. So you can always check there. And yeah, that's basically what's been going on this past year. I had a little boy. He's the sweetest thing, and my girls love him. So we are now a complete family. No more babies. None. So even though now I have 3 kids and he's only almost 5 months old, I had him in January. Before all this craziness started, thank goodness, I still am able to find time to do some DIYs. My amazing husband takes my kids for me, gives me a little me time, a little de-stress from the yelling and the screaming and the fighting. And that's what I do. I paint and I create things, and that just calms my soul. So anyways, this was a super long intro, but I wanted to get you guys up to date on where I've been. If you aren't into home decor, I completely understand. Makeup and home decor are 2 totally different things, although they are both art. Still, it's super different. So if home decor videos just aren't your jam, totally get it. No hard feelings. Although I would hope that you stay and see what things I create. Today I've created 5 DIYs that are based around farmhouse themed. They are super cute, and they were super easy and super cheap. So if you want to see what 5 items I made, then let's just jump on into the video. Also, really quick before I leave, this video, just don't judge me too harshly off of it from the first video of being back after a full year, and for being my first craft video. It's not the best. My phone kept not wanting to record, so it kind of skips around a little bit, but don't judge me. I will get better and it will be awesome. So just stick with it. Ignore all those mistakes. Thanks. So for this first DIY, I'm taking these 2 canvas 4x6 canvases from the Dollar Tree, and I just want to use the actual frame. So I take a flathead screwdriver, and I'm going to pop out all of those staples. You can just use a knife and cut this. But for me personally, I didn't want the staples in there, and for whatever reason, it was easier for me to get the staples out than it was to try to cut it. I don't know why. It's typically the other way around, but for me, I just like to take the time and take the staples out. It just feels a lot more finished to me, and with what I'm doing to it, I didn't want the staples in there. So you can see that the canvas just comes right off. I always save those for later, and then you're left with a cute just wood frame. So I go through and sand it down a little bit just to get the little slivers off of there so it's all nice and smooth. So for the bottom of this tray, I took some popsicle sticks. These are the jumbo ones from Walmart. These ended up being too big, so I did go through and find some just a little bit smaller that actually fit perfect on the sides, and the top and bottom fit pretty good too. I did end up going through and cutting off a little bit of each popsicle stick just so that it was a little bit shorter, so you weren't seeing the top and bottom of the popsicle sticks when you're looking at it just straight on. So that is what I am doing right here, just cutting a little tiny sliver off of each one, like I said, just so that you won't see those, just kind of hide them just a little bit. But I didn't have to cut any of them lengthwise, which is what I'm going for, so these popsicle sticks were actually a really perfect fit. And then my camera does decide to turn off at some points, so just keep that in mind. If it jumps around a little bit, that's why. So I just took some hot glue and I put those on the back. I did go in with a couple other popsicle sticks the opposite direction, just so that it would add a little bit more stability. So I do go in with my Waverly chalk paint in mineral to paint the entire thing. You'll see here all of a sudden everything is just painted. Again, my dang camera turned off and I didn't know. So here you go. You can see that I've painted everything in that mineral color, and I just painted top and bottom and all the sides, everything. You just want to paint it all the one color. And then while that's drying, I'm going to take these beads that I got from Amazon. They're just a natural wood bead. These were painted for another project that I didn't end up doing, so I decided to use them for this one. So I go ahead and put them on these skewer sticks. It's a lot easier to paint these on there, then you're not getting paint all over your fingers. And it is a lot easier to glue these down while they're on the skewer sticks. That way you're not trying to glue down the beads to the frame individually. I feel like it's a lot less messy that way, and it makes so that your beads are all uniform, which I prefer. So I just go through and paint the rest of the beads that I needed. I tried my best to figure out how many I would need per side. You can see when I go through and match all these up that I have to end up cutting some off and resizing them because I just missed that mark completely as I was going through it. But to keep these ends on though, I did take some hot glue and put it on the very end, took the bead and put it on there. And then I also took some hot glue to fill in the hole. That way I could paint over the hole. So you can see I just cut it off, take a bead off, put some glue on there, put the bead back on, and then put some hot glue in the hole to close it on up so that I can paint over it. So that's what I did with all 4 skewer sticks to the top and the bottom. And then here I'm just going through and trying to measure it all up, see if I got it right. You can see right here I got a bead too long, so I'm just going through and trimming it down a bit, just taking another bead off, basically just doing that whole process all over again. Just keep playing with it. Honestly, this probably would have worked a lot better if I had used a smaller size bead, which I do have. I just wanted to use the beads that were already painted so I didn't have to paint all the beads. So that's my fault. You can see here that it doesn't match up totally perfect, but it's fine. It didn't bother me too bad, and you know, my projects aren't perfect. So fine with me. It did end up really cute in the end. Don't mind my head getting in shots of some of these. I obviously I'm gonna have to work on my whole setup here because it's completely different from what I used to do, so it's another learning curve. So here I am just putting it all together. Again, just going through and making sure that the holes are covered with glue, and that's about it. So I took some E6000 and I put that under some of the beads and then rolled the bead onto the frame. This was less messy than trying to just pour glue everywhere, and just to give it a little bit more stability, I then took some more E6000 and I ran it along the other frame, and I did use a popsicle stick just to smooth it out so I didn't have globs of glue hanging down in between the beads. I didn't want you to be able to see that glue when you were just looking straight on, so I just put it down on top of the beads, figured out the good, alignment of those. Is that the right word? I don't know. Put some books on there, put some paint bottles on there just to hold it down, and I let that dry overnight. So here you can see what it looked like the next day. I am going to go through and do some touch-up paint. You can see that I haven't painted over the holes, and my beads weren't completely covered. They still had some of that natural wood showing through, so I'm just going through right here and covering up any other spots that need covered up. Just little touch-ups here and there, covering the holes of the beads. You can still see a little bit of the circle on the beads where the hole was, but like I said, again, it didn't really bother me. I don't expect these pieces to be perfect, but I do think they're cute and, made it for less than $5, which is always a plus. If you buy this in the store, it's going to be a lot more money. So I took my home decor paint in white, it's just the white color, and I'm taking my brush and dry brushing it on there. Sorry, my hand keeps getting in the way. I just dip my brush in the paint and then dab it off a little bit, and then I go over in this sweeping motion to distress it, to just give it more of some dimension so that it's not looking so flat. That's what I honestly fell in love with doing this, because of what this does to a piece. It just brings it to life, in my opinion. I just think it's a lot of fun. So I went through and did this to all the sides and all the beads, inside and outside, just to make the entire piece look distressed. When I go along the bottom, I do go in the same direction, just so that it's not all messy. It gives it more of a uniform look, makes it look more like a weathered wood, if you will. So that's what I'm doing right here. I just go back and forth in the same direction. And that is it for that piece, and you'll see it complete at the end. So for this next project, I took my Waverly chalk paint in truffle. I have these beads from Amazon, just the same ones we used in the last project. And then this little candle holder I got from Michael's. It was probably about $2 or $3. It was on clearance, so I bought 2 of them. So I'm just going through and painting the beads with the truffle paint. Again, my camera ends up cutting off during this video, so you don't see everything that I do, but I did take that truffle paint and just kind of dry brush it along the candle holder as well, and then I take the same white folk art white chalk paint and I start dry brushing it with the white, just all over the little feet, all over the candle holder. I do go on the bottom of the candle holder as well, but I do leave the top of it not painted. So you have a candle on it anyway, so it's not like you would have seen it. So you can see I just left the main part alone, and super easy, super fast, cost me less than $3. So for this, I also got this sign on clearance at Michael's. I believe I got it for like $2 or $3. I think 2. I think it was about $1.99. So I just go through and take the hardware off, just have a screwdriver, and I just remove that and I save it for later. I'm not going to need it. I take my white chalk paint again. This paint was like all the way gone almost. I had to sit there and scrape it out, and it was really thick for some reason, so it gave me a little bit of trouble, but I went through and did several coats of paint on this sign because it's so dang green. It took forever to get it all the way covered up, and because I did several coats, I feel like chalk paint dries really fast, and then you get kind of these bumps where it's kind of clumped up a little bit, and it's really annoying. So after I had it all painted, I went through and sanded those little bumps down. I'll show you just in a second what I'm talking about. You can see there's just these little bumps sometimes where it gets too thick. So I just take my sandpaper and just smooth out any of those kind of clumpier areas from the paint, and then I just touched up the paint from there. So now I'm just going to take some painter's tape. I outline my frame. I'm taking the antique wax from Waverly, and I'm starting with a more of a dry brush method and just building my way up till I get the way that I want the outside of the frame to look. So you can see I go in light and then I start getting thicker and thicker as I go. I just wanted this to have a more of a weathered look. I don't worry about covering the entire thing or making all of the white disappear. I did want it to look, you know, aged and have that more distressed and aged appearance. So that's what I did. I just built my way up until I got the desired look that I wanted, and I just covered all the parts of the frame, the inside and the outside. So after that was done, I did create this decal. I will have my Instagram listed down below if you want to take a look at that decal on there. I will sell any designs that I make, so if you are interested in any of the designs that I feature in my videos, definitely check out my Instagram account and let me know if there's something that piques your interest. So I just take the what is this called? Painter's tape off, and you can see that it bled through a little bit right there. So I'm just going through with that white paint again and just touching up as best I can. It's not perfect. There are other little spots where it kind of bled through a little bit. Honestly, I don't mind it. I feel like it just adds more character to my piece, and you know, it's just what I like. So I go through and cover that up as best I can, and I'm laying out my decal just to see if it's gonna fit and where I'm going to place everything. And if you don't have a Cricut or a silhouette and you just want to do something a little bit more simple, a little bit easier, you can just use some printables, or you could even just freehand this. I have terrible handwriting, so I prefer this method a whole lot better, because then I know it's going to look great and I'm not going to have any mess ups with my handwriting. So that's why I prefer to use vinyl decals over just my own handwriting. But like I said, you can use stickers, you could use traceables, or whatever you wanted to do. So that's just my method that I like best. So I just go ahead and place it on my sign, remove the transfer tape, get my other little decal on there, and that is about it for that sign. It was super easy, and the sign itself cost me a couple bucks. So for this DIY, these 3 books came from the dollar store. Jeez, if I can talk. These came from the dollar store. I had already, or the Dollar Tree, my goodness. The Dollar Tree, I'd already taken the covers off of them. I just peeled them right off. So I decided that I didn't want those words to be shown. So I flipped the book over, and that's gonna be my top book. So there aren't any words on there. Then I just go through and take some hot glue and glue these books together, and you can see it didn't work very well. My hot glue gun wasn't all the way hot at the moment, but I just went through, glued all 3 books together. I do go through and use some Mod Podge as well, because you'll see when I paint at the top of this book, the curls up, the page curls up a little bit. So using Mod Podge is going to help it stay down so you don't have curly pages. So again, I just took some white chalk paint and painted along the top and on the sides. First, I used some hot glue to keep that one page down because it decided to come off. So just to temporarily
hold it. I put that there. I painted the top. I painted the ends of the books, just a little dry brush. I just wanted to make it look a little bit more weathered and give it a little bit more detail. So you can see here that the top of the page is starting to curl. So there I just take my Mod Podge and go all over it, flip the whole thing upside down and let it dry like that. So I took some burlap ribbon that I also got from the Dollar Tree just to make a little sleeve, I guess you'd call it. I don't know. I just wrap it around the entire thing, and then I take some white twine or string, if you want to call it, and I just go through it and see how much I want to use of it. I take my ribbon and I hot glue it down to the bottom of the book, and then I take my string and wrap that around the book too, and then I end up just tying a little bow at the top. I don't hot glue it down. I just didn't have to do that. And then for the florals that I'm using, I actually got these from Joann's, but it was part of a huge arrangement that I got at 80% off. So I paid $10 for this like originally $50 thing of florals. It was awesome. And I just stuck these down in there. And then again, I created this little decal on my silhouette. I just thought this was so cute and so personalized that I had to go for it. So it just says, "This is us, more family, established 2014." And I go through and just put that on the ends of my books. What are they? What's the spine? Is that what it's called? The spine of the book? I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. I go through and put them on there, and what I will probably do later is get some Mod Podge and go over the decal, just because it doesn't stick to the book super well. I mean, I haven't tried like picking it off, but with it being like, you know, paper-ish, like not paper and paint, I don't know, it wasn't the best. I will probably go through with some Mod Podge, make sure it stays. So for this, what are we on? Number 5? I think this is the last one. For this project, I took these fences from the Dollar Tree. I had already cut mine, but I had grabbed 2 so that I could have 2 pieces that had the little, those things, whatever those are called, the little joints that you can hook together. I wanted to be able to have 2 of them so that it was a little bit easier to put together. So I take my chalk paint and I dry brush this with the white chalk paint. I want that dark color showing through. I think it looks just super cute, super aged and weathered and chippy, and I like it. So I just go through, dry brush the front, paint the back, because you are going to see the back as well. I did get inspired from this from somebody on Pinterest. I don't remember the name of the blog, but I will post it in the description box below. I saw this and I just knew I had to recreate it. I thought it was super cute. So you can see I'm just going through and painting the entire thing. Like I said, it doesn't have to be completely covered in white paint. I liked the look of having pieces of the black that you could still see, and yeah, thought it looked good that way. Then I'm taking this sign that I had still from Halloween. It's just one of these little wood box signs. I end up taking the bow off the back and the sticker inside of it. I take that off, and I also take the hardware off because I am using the inside of the box. Oh, winded. So much talking. So I can see I just take that off right there. And I also go through, I don't show it on camera, but I do take a little bit of sandpaper and sand down the glitter. That way I don't get glitter all over the surface. I don't bother painting the underneath just because you're not going to see it. So that's why I just took the glitter off of it. Then I didn't have glitter all over my house. But you can see I'm just taking the same white paint and painting the inside and all of the edges white. I only did 1 coat of this, again, because I didn't want it fully white. I liked the, I don't know, rustic-y farmhouse kind of look. Then it would match with the fence. So after I got all of the sides painted, I do go in with some hot glue and some E6000 so that it gives a little bit more of a long-term hold, and I end up taking those fences and I glue them to the sides of the frame. What I would suggest is putting the glue on the frame or on the fence itself first, not what I'm doing right here, because it kind of made it just a big mess that I had to go through and clean up afterwards. If you put it on the frame or the fence, I'm gonna say fence and frame, makes those two up the whole time, then it is less messy that way. So I just had those, you know, 2 pieces on each one connected already from the little joints, placed them around the frame, took my glue, put it in there. I ended up trimming off a little bit right on the end right here just because it was sticking out a little bit. And that's basically it for that. You just let it dry. Oh, just kidding, one more step. I took some wire and wired the 2 other sides together just so that it would hold a little bit more. I didn't want to put a whole bunch of glue on it, so I thought if I put this wire around it, put some of that white paint on, it just adds to, you know, the detail, gives it a little pretty look. So that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. This was actually really fun to film, and I'm really happy I did it. So I really appreciate you guys watching. Subscribe before you leave, and I will see you later. Bye.